Hi, Dave Spalding from Handgun Combatives. What we're going to do today is another in our series of 5-minute YouTube videos. And son-in-law Darren kind of came up with this concept, and maybe it's a good one, maybe it's not. We'll see what you think. But it's entitled, Stupid Shit I Saw This Week. And I thought, you know what, that's something we could explore. If you like it, we'll continue, and if you don't, we'll stop. I'm off right now kind of for a holiday break before I start the 2017 training season, and it's given me the opportunity to kind of see a little bit more about what goes on online. Quite frankly, I don't really pay attention to gun forums and the Facebook chats and stuff like that other than what I post, which is done to promote my business. But I have been kind of looking around, and one of the things I saw pop up this week was an entire battery of knuckleheads arguing back and forth over what is called the Temple Index. And those of you out there probably know what I'm talking about. It's when you have the gun up next to the side of your head, right next to your temple. My generation, we kind of called this the James Bond, or basically the gun up next to your head, but the Temple Index is the given title, and people understand what it is when I talk that way. So I thought what I'd do is I would talk about the Temple Index. First of all, understand that no preparatory or ready position will work for all situations. Once you get your head wrapped around that, then you can maybe better understand things like Temple Index and Sewell and a compressed low ready or high ready position, because these positions have to basically flow and change and adapt based on the circumstances going on in front of you. Yeah, they're situationally dependent. What does adapt mean? Adapt means to change as necessary. And to be adaptive means that you have the ability to change as necessary. And the Temple Index is merely another position that allows you to adapt. What are we talking about? The Temple Index should basically be used in a situation where you're moving, you're turning, and you have non-hostiles around you. Maybe you're working in a team environment such as a SWAT situation or dignitary protection, and you're turning, you're running, you're moving, and you want the muzzle in a direction that if the gun discharges due to a sympathetic muscle response, the round would discharge into a direction that would not hit anybody. Many of you will say, well, you know, you probably ought to have the gun down, but keep in mind, if there's people moving in and around you, do you really want to be pointing your muzzle at their legs, their knees, the back of their calves, their ankles? Probably not. Now, the Temple Index really isn't anything new. If we bring a carbine into this, many of you will recognize the position that we were taught to keep the weapon saved. It applied to submachine guns, it applies to carbines, and certainly to pistol grip shotguns. Not so much with a traditional stock, but what we're talking about is basically grabbing the pistol grip, bringing the muzzle up next to us, and locking our arm down on the lower stock. And now we could move, we could be pushing people out of the way, doing all kinds of stuff. And why did we assume this position? That's right, to keep the muzzle up. There's times when having the muzzle down like this would be just as inappropriate as it would with a pistol if there's people in close proximity. I've heard several people say this, and I'm not going to give attribution because if I do, I'll get it wrong. But I've heard it said that, you know, if you're in a rubber boat, you ought to hold the muzzle high. If you're in a helicopter, you ought to hold the muzzle low. Now, a lot of the knuckleheads out there will say, well, I'm not in the military, that doesn't apply to me. Once again, you're missing the point. What that means is there's time to have the muzzle high, there's time to have the muzzle low. Like the situation I just talked about, where having the muzzle low would be covering other people's legs and lower extremities. What does all this mean? It means that the Temple Index has its place. Position Sewell has its place. The classic low ready or guard has its place. The air marshal or third eye position, where the gun is straight ahead, it has its place, as does the classic high ready and as a compressed low ready. You have to be able to adapt based on the situation you're facing. All of these positions are important, and to say that one is absolute or you should never use that, it's just not good. I learned very early on in the training business, especially when I'm training cops, is you want to avoid the words never and always. So in the case of the temple index, it has its place. Avoid never and always. So, Dave Spalding, Handgun Combatives, thanks for checking in.